What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Before we get rolling, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the legends of the muscle car era. Today, we're going straight into the heart of Mopar greatness, the car that roared onto the scene in 1970 and carved itself into automotive history, the Dodge Challenger. Now, when you hear the words 970 Dodge Challenger, it instantly sparks visions of raw American muscle, wide stances, bulging hoods, and the kind of unapologetic power that defined an entire generation of cars. This wasn't just Dodge making another coupe. This was their declaration of war in the pony car battlefield, a direct rival to the Ford Mustang, Chevy Camaro, Pontiac Firebird, Mercury Cougar, and even AMC's Javelin. Dodge was late to the party, but when they arrived, they came swinging harder than anyone expected. The Challenger was built on Chrysler's brand new E-body platform, which it shared with the Plymouth Barracuda. But Dodge wanted something bigger, meaner, and more upscale than the Cuda, so the Challenger was stretched just a bit longer, giving it more room inside and a slightly more refined presence on the outside. Don't get it twisted, though. This car wasn't about comfort, it was about muscle. And Dodge made sure there was a Challenger for every kind of buyer, from the everyday driver to the hardcore street racer. You could get a Challenger in nearly endless configurations. There were hardtops, convertibles, base models, SE luxury trims, RT performance beasts, and of course, the legendary Challenger TDA built for SCCA Trans Am Racing. Under the hood, Dodge offered one of the widest engine lineups of the entire muscle car era. It started with the modest slant 6 for those who just wanted the look without the bite, but the real magic began with the VAs. You had small block 318s, 340s, 360s, and then you stepped up into the big blocks, the 383, the 400, the 4040 Magnum, the 4046 pack with 222 barrel carbs, and sitting on top of the mountain, the 426 AMI. That's right, the elephant motor itself, the legendary 426 cubic inch HEMI V8 rated at 425 horsepower, but known to make much more in reality. Pair it with a 4-speed manual transmission, throw in the Hurst pistol grip shifter, and suddenly you had one of the most fearsome street machines of 1970. The MI Challenger R-T was the stuff of legend, not only because of its speed, but also because of its rarity. Only a few hundred were ever built, which is why today, at auctions, original HEMI cars can fetch prices well into the 6 and even 7-figure range. That's right, what was once a 4,000 car in 1970 could now be worth $1 million if it's the right spec. But beyond the engines and the numbers, the Challenger carried a sense of style that was unmatched. The long hood, the short deck, the hidden headlights on certain trims, the shaker hood scoop that literally vibrated with the engine's fury. This was art in motion. And the colors! Oh man, the colors! Dodge went all out with the high-impact paint palette. Names like Plum Crazy, Sublime, HEMI Orange, Panther Pink, and Top Banana. These weren't just paint jobs, they were statements. And when you saw one of these wild colors rolling down the street, you knew instantly it was a Mopar. The Challenger also gained a massive following in pop culture. One of the most iconic appearances was in the 1971 film Vanishing Point, where a white Dodge Challenger R-T became the star of one of the most famous car chase movies ever made. That film cemented the Challenger's reputation as not just a car, but a cultural icon, a symbol of rebellion, freedom, and speed. Later on, you'd see it return in Fast and Furious movies, showing that even decades later, the 1970 Challenger still had the presence to steal the show. Performance-wise, the Challenger could be set up in so many ways. A base Challenger with a small V8 might run a 17-second quarter mile, while a HEMI car could dip into the low 13s stock. And with a little tuning, it could easily crush the 12-second barrier. The Challenger TDA, with its 346 pack engine, was no slouch either. It had fiberglass hood, side exit exhaust, and rally-inspired handling upgrades. While the TDA was built to homologate Dodge's Trans Am race car, only about 2 400 were made, making them incredibly valuable today. What's fascinating about the Challenger is how it represents the peak of the muscle car wars. 1970 was arguably the high point before insurance rates, emissions regulations, and the oil crisis began to choke the life out of Detroit's horsepower craze. The Challenger came in right at the height of it all, when engineers had the freedom to dream big, when gas was cheap, and when speed was the name of the game. Inside, the Challenger gave you more room than a Camaro or Mustang, which made it a bit more practical. You had bucket seats, optional rally dashboards with full gauges, wood grain trim, and even luxury touches in the SE models with leather and vinyl roofs. But let's be real, nobody bought a 1970 Challenger for the leather. They bought it for that roar, that tire smoke, that rush of torque pinning you back in your seat. Even today, more than 50 years later, the Challenger commands respect. Car enthusiasts, collectors, and Mopar fanatics all know the 1970 model year is something special. It's not just about nostalgia, it's about design, engineering, and attitude. These cars are rolling pieces of history, and every time one fires up, it's like stepping back into a time when Detroit ruled the streets. So why does the 1970 Dodge Challenger remain so desirable? It's simple. It's the perfect storm of style, performance, rarity, and cultural impact. It's a car that looks mean standing still, a car that defined an era, and a car that represents the very soul of American muscle. Whether it's a base model cruiser or a HEMI monster, every Challenger tells a story, and every owner becomes a part of that story. And here's the kicker. While these cars were born in 1970, their legacy never faded. Dodge resurrected the Challenger name in 2008, and while the modern version is bigger, heavier, and filled with technology, it still carries the DNA of the original. When you look at a modern Challenger Hellcat or Demon, you can see the lineage traced directly back to that first generation icon. It's proof that some legends never die, they just evolve. So, the next time you hear that deep rumble of a big block Mopar, or you catch a glimpse of a plumb crazy Challenger cruising down the highway, remember what you're looking at. You're seeing more than a car. You're seeing the spirit of 1970, a time when horsepower reigned supreme and Dodge threw down the gauntlet with one of the greatest muscle cars ever built. That's going to wrap it up for today's deep dive into the legendary 1970 Dodge Challenger. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content about classic muscle, modern performance, and everything in between, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon and drop a comment below. What's your favorite Challenger model? And if you could own any one of them, which one would it be? Thanks for watching, and as always, keep those engines revving and that passion alive.